Hello, everyone. My name is Matt Cameron. I help people with digital marketing. Welcome to another Tracardi office hours, where we discuss what's happening in our Tracardi world and really just come up to date with things that we're working on. But before we talk about what we're going to talk about today, best to introduce you to Risto. So, Risto, would you like to share a little bit more about yourself and who you are?
Hello, my name is Risto Kowaczewski. I'm a founder of Tracardi CDP, which is an open source customer data platform. And together with the community, me, Matt, and all the people who are contributing, we try to build the best CDP there is.
It definitely is the best CDP out there as far as I'm concerned. What's happening out in the community at the moment? There's all sorts of conferences and things on, lots of commercial products getting launched and doing things. But what's refreshing about Tracardi is it is open source. And I know this week I was working on some stuff and I just needed to work out what wasn't working, and that can happen with any platform. I was able to just dive in there, go into the code, make a couple of changes, and then sort of report back, okay, then it's not quite working right with this. It was a bit of an edge case, but I was able to provide some really good input back in as a contributor. And I think that makes a big difference with open source compared to that closed world.
Yes.
Because if you do that in a closed world, you're talking to your product rep, they talk to their product team lead, and then that talk to anyway 3 months later you might see a change. And like this week we're just working through, just like I said, an edge case. It wasn't a biggie, but it would be nice to, and okay, then let's solve that and come up with some thoughts about how to solve that. And I think that's the spirit of open source, and that definitely happens in Tracardi. Yeah.
And you can get all the support you need on our Slack channel, and most of the support is free. And I also talked with Matt that we also I would like to share how I see the free support, because a lot of people are asking for the support on the private channels, and then this is not visible and not possible for everybody else to follow and see how to solve their problems and their issues, because when you learn something you always need the support. And
I was just going to say, I've been asked that question too. How can you support me? And I think there's a spirit of open source, that you support people in the community openly and through the Slack group, and things like these office hours or on the blog and places like that are obvious. Like you say, it has to be beyond the person. It's got to reach out to a number of people and become a solution. As soon as it's one-on-one consulting, though, that's a bit different. And I know I did a session with somebody this morning that wasn't on Tracardi, but you've got to cover your costs for your time. And if you're providing a real benefit, then that's sort of going beyond what open source or the spirit of open source is. So I sort of get that. But sorry, I cut you off. So.
And well, we also would like to share all the experiences we have on the blog. So I also made the mailing like a few days ago, just asking anybody who's interested in Tracardi to sign to our blog, because we will share how we see Tracardi can work for companies, how Tracardi can be used in other use cases than yours. So, and you can learn not only about Tracardi but also how to use CDP. So I also encourage everybody to sign for our blog.
I think I noticed that because we had a few signups over the last couple of days. They sort of started coming in, and somebody's mentioned the blog. Obviously, you have. So that's cool.
Yes, actually, I was doing sending to my email list, inviting people to sign up to the blog. And this is very good way to share the knowledge, because one channel is Slack, but we use free Slack, so the things that are on the Slack just disappear after some time. So sharing it through blog or sharing it through the Q&As that are in the documentation is a very good way to just keep that information, that knowledge in our community. And as I mentioned before, there are a lot of people asking me for help through the private channel, and that's okay. And I usually help, but I also would like to set some rules, because uh, I have a lot of questions about asking about not Tracardi itself, but the installation on different platforms like AWS, Kubernetes, etc. And I'm really happy to help, but I have like one condition. Okay, if we do something and I provide a service, then I would like this project, for example, a project of installation on AWS and all the installation files to be in our open source repository. So everybody can use that knowledge to, install Tracardi on AWS for the on purpose. But there are people and companies who make their like own uh, private things, okay, private businesses, and they don't want to share. So I'm then unfortunately not providing the support. So if you are willing to share what you do, and if you are willing to contribute, that different ways of contributing, okay, that can be on the private repository, the files, installation files on private repository, or you could write an article about this. You can just share that there is something like Tracardi. So any way you can support the project, then I'm happy to help with the support. Otherwise, we have like professional services, and you can use one of the services that Matt provides, and will be sharing this information everywhere I can. So you can use professional services and get a paid support, and that's all fine if you're doing something in your private environment. But if you would like to get the help from the community, I would like you to deliver something to the community as well.
I think that's fair and reasonable. I actually really like. I was chatting to somebody earlier today about the difference between AWS and DigitalOcean, and AWS is awesome. Don't get me wrong, but DigitalOcean actually tells you how to do things. They've got so many tutorials about how to get stuff sorted out, and I actually really like that because it helps. So I find I actually lean in for my services on DigitalOcean, not so much on AWS, because there's that community of knowledge, and you sort of, okay, how do I do this? Oh, it's there. And even some of the simple things, like they've got it all covered. And I sort of totally get that. Like, you've got to make it easy, and sharing the knowledge makes a big difference.
Yes, and I mentioned in several office hours that we are also collecting these Q&As. So if you, for example, find something that there's some information missing on the documentation, you don't have to write a very detailed documentation of that. You can just write a question and write an answer with what you've been struggling with and how you solve it, and this will become um, an information data for our artificial intelligence chat, because we are building this, and I already have a lot of information that we delivered to the chat GPT, and it's really helpful. And I'm planning to buy some professional service that will uh, allow us to share this on the Slack, so more people will be able to ask the generative AI, ask the question and get the answer. So this is very important, and this is one of the way you can contribute to the project. When you encounter some issue or encounter some things you don't know how to solve, we can help you solve it, but I will ask you just to write a question and answer in our documentation, how you solved it, get the information from the Slack, just run it through ChatGPT. It will rewrite it for you, so it's in a perfect English. and we will put it into documentation, and that later will become a part of a chatbot that will answer the questions.
I've
So
been I've been standing up. No, I totally get what you're talking about. Standing up an account on Active Campaign, which is a commercial product for doing emails, and there was a lot of questions I had around how to set up the your subdomain and get everything sorted out so that it wouldn't become in the spam box. And I just went onto their chat. Gee, I tell you what, they had it worked out. You just type in your question, and it comes back with every step that you need to do. So it's such a powerful thing. Haven't talked to a human there yet, but their chatbot probably is more intelligent. I don't know,
yes.
but you're getting it into ChatGPT, or not so much ChatGPT, but into a Gen AI, so it can be handled and give context to the questions you're asking. It's just so important. How do we get? How does that? So we've got our questions and answers. Are you harvesting them off the Slack, or how does that work?
Actually, in our documentation, there is a folder called Q&A.
Yep.
And in there are markdown files, just the text files, where you just, in the title, write a question. In the first line, write a question, then an answer. And then I run it through some scripts that prepare the payload for the agent to learn from. And that agent will learn it, and later will be able to answer the question. Actually, I was thinking to open the ChatGPT I've created, but unfortunately, you need to have a subscription to ChatGPT to be able to use this custom GPT.
I understand that.
And I'm using it internally, and it works very well. Actually, a lot of questions that people ask on Slack, I use that chatbot to answer it. I'm not writing it manually, going through the documentation. So all the documentation plus the Q&As go through that chatbot, and this chatbot answers all the questions. And I would like to share it on the Slack, so everybody would just go through me and then ChatGPT or any other AI bot that will directly answer the AI bot.
There's two things there. The first one is, how do we contribute to that? Do we do a pull request on the? Do we?
Yes.
Yeah, so we do some markdown, do a pull request. We probably need to document that because not everyone's familiar with that process. So that'd be a good blog post to talk about. And
yes, I will do it. Yeah.
Yeah, and if it's inside the Slack group, it's sort of like an inside a controlled environment, so it's not going to get hit by everyone. So I guess there's an API for Slack that could call ChatGPT to use a.
Actually, there is the one that I was investigating. It's called Kappa AI, I guess.
Yep.
And you can just download the documentation and then deliver it to Kappa, and will per a bot. That bot can be connected to Slack, and there are of course some payments required, but we have an open collective. Okay, an open collective has some money there, so I will be putting that money into the chatbot.
So that begs another question: how do you contribute to the open collective for Tracardi? What's the method for that?
Well, it's quite straightforward. If you have installed Tracardi, there is a button support, I guess, and then you will find the open collective, or you can go to our GitHub, and there is also a link to open collective when you was a sponsor or something like that. So you can support this as well, and the amount you pay, it really doesn't matter. It can be like $5, $1, whatever. Unless you pay it every month, it will just help the whole thing going on. Okay, so this is not about the amount. This is more about the continuity of supporting the project.
Yeah, providing a, what do you call it? Sustainability, making the project sustainable.
Yes.
And it's in that sort of sense. Awesome. I felt like there's another question and it's just gone about that. But yeah, it'd be great to see a chat AI just with knowledge about Tracardi available if that's inside the Slack group. Awesome, be good.
Yes, already there are, like, I would say, hundreds of question and answers in the documentation. So the issue you had with the asynchronic events
Yep.
were actually from the Q&As. So when you asked your question, I just found it in the Q&As and just
I
paste
must have,
the.
yeah, I did go to the chat GPT with that question and it came back with how to
Mhm.
actually write the tracker. And I thought, okay, this is not going in the right way. It was probably an answer, but not the right answer. That we, you know, obviously there's something there already baked into Tracardi.
Yes, yes. Well,
Source.
mm, I I see that ChatGPT is indexing our content, but not as efficiently as the private GPTs, and it is also not so efficient and right with the answers as the chats
It's
that
not.
are delivered documentation.
It's not bad though. If you ask it to write a boilerplate Tracardi plugin, it'll pretty much nail it. It gets that pretty right. And then if you think about what Tracardi is, it's just a whole series of functions written in Python. So if you know what you want, and that's, I think you can't ask ChatGPT or any of these things to architect something for you, but you can ask them very directed questions and they come back with some excellent answers. So write me a script that'll do this small portion. It'll come back with exactly what you need, but you just got to break it down into those small parts. So,
Mhm,
but I guess we're all sort
mhm.
of getting used to how to use those tools.
Yes, and I also have one announcement actually, because
Awesome.
I don't know if anybody knows. There's like a yearly event called Hacktoberfest. A Hacktoberfest is an event that unites all the open source developers that can contribute to any open source project. And if you are a developer and you would like to contribute to Tracardi, we are participating in this event. So I will be also sharing this information, how to support Tracardi. And every year I have a few developers joining, usually only for the period of Hacktoberfest. But yeah, anyone who would like to contribute and take part in this great event, you are all welcome and contribute to Tracardi.
Yep. Cool. I'll tell you what I'd love, and I know I brought it up ages ago. So I'd like the modulus function to exist somewhere in Tracardi, so I can write something that says mod 10 mod 2. What's an example? Just a modulus function, because it's not there in the math at the moment. Just be able to test something. It's just the nth time it's occurred. If it is like if the person's visited five, if this is the fifth visit that a person's making to the website and do something, then wait for the next nth. Um, that'd be fun. I'd like that function. Often thought about that one.
Yes,
I
and
think the
also if you are
closest.
not if you are not a developer, you can just write a request for change or request
Yeah,
for feature. So and anybody who's interested in contributing to Tracardi will just try to solve your
yeah.
request during this event.
Yeah, I've often thought about how to write that plugin. Do you write a plugin just to do that? Because you could. It'd be just like an if that does is dedicated to that. But it feels like it's more math. It could be in the back end of Tracardi. So it's not been a screaming need for me to have this plugin. I haven't sort of pursued it, but it's something I've always thought
Mhm.
about. So modulus, something to do modulus within Tracardi would be nice. Anyway, it's just an aside, I
Just
think, on anything else.
just if you have time, just put it as a request for a feature.
Yeah.
Then we can just go through when we have time and go through it and find out how we could
Another
do that.
one, I keep requesting things and you keep doing them. It feels like there's so many edge cases we come up with, and oh yeah, that's a good idea. Let's do it. And I think that's another thing about open source that we're talking about before. If it's if it's something that's, I don't know how do you explain it, it's sort of bubbling up, and okay, then is it a hard thing to solve? Quite often it's just, okay, then let's just sort it out. It's not that
But you
difficult.
know, that's the beauty of open source. Someday someone will do it.
Yeah. I want to do a show and tell, so I'm going to share my screen, and I'll share my tab. I'm not going to really talk about this too much about how it works. I'm just going to share the blog. Now, I've been putting together some bits and pieces for somebody else, but I needed a place to sort of trial this out, and we've had to make a couple of changes to some plugins and over the last week or two. But when we go to the blog, you can click on any of the posts now, and if we just scroll down, scroll to the comments, we see a comment come up, and on this one it says leave a comment. How are you using customer data platforms to transform your non-marketing business operations? We'd love to hear your experiences and lessons learned. And that's really just a prompt. It'll last there for about 20 seconds to hopefully promote the discussion here, a comment. And at the moment, this prompt comes up on each post, but I think it's always different. So let's go to this one here. Just scroll down. Leave a comment. What CDP pricing model aligns best with your current business needs and long-term growth strategy? And that sort of ties into what this is about, business models. And I'll just show another one so you're getting a feel for what's going on here. And I'll go to an earlier one. We're getting a few posts in here, actually. It's awesome. Let's go to our first one here. So we just scroll down to the comments, and that came up pretty quick. It actually only appears once we get to that point. And that's what we're talking about earlier with the asynchronous, which we will post about how that works, and with Google Tag Manager and Tracardi, and we've posted about how this works. But what's your favourite takeaway from this conversation? How are you planning to implement it in your CDP use case? I'm not quite sure how quality that one is, but each of those prompts has been created by a Gen AI. In fact, they're generated using Llama 3.1 on Cloudflare using their API.
Mhm.
And we've just gone through each of the posts and created a call to action comment for each of the posts. It won't show up again, so I'll just go to another one and just do it again.
Actually, what you are presenting right now is
Yep.
a feature of systems that are called digital user experience, not CDP. So you can see that Tracardi also has features of digital experience platforms, because right now you can like customize the message to the customer. So this is very
So,
nice.
yeah, no, it's good. And I'm actually calling this, I've sort of baking it up into a product and wrapping some things around it, calling it customer journey agent, which I'm working through. But but this is fun. Like in these pop-ups, we're using, I'll go into the blog itself. So I'll just go into, show you a little bit about how this works. And we'll kick the tires on this properly in another session and just really step through this. But I'll go to, you get down to it. I'm actually on a screen. As soon as I got to the point, I'll share my screen. Code injection. Okay, so I'll just open the screen. I'll share this tab instead. So for the pop-ups, we're using Shoelace, which is also WebAwesome, which has become WebAwesome, but at the moment we're just using Shoelace because it's all stable. Then it's called a suggestion, and then we're passing to the suggestion some details that's lasting for 20 seconds, and it's triggered. Oh, look, let's just dig through it. I'll go into Tracardi in a tick and have a look at how this is called. But this is what's put in that card on the screen. So it's just positioning it there and putting it in the bottom right-hand box, which is that style suggestion there. Let's pull this apart. I'll open up Tracardi. I think I've got it open on another screen. Let me just get this tab set up. Live demos are always fun, but this will work. Okay, so now I need to put an endpoint in there. Just feel free and welcome to talk about something else just for a moment, Risto, while I get this sorted.
Well, this is actually not a lot of code.
No, there's not a lot of code in any of this. It's all actually using the best parts of everything to make it work. So
My question is,
Tracardi
do you use the AI model like real time, or you
No,
just
it's
generate it?
batched. It's batched. We only need to use it once. It's all batched up. And I'll show that in a tick too. So suggestion. Share this tab instead. So it's called Web Suggestion. We're in Tracardi. And this is the bit in Tracardi that's handling the event. So we're firing an event, which is fired from Google Tag Manager. When we get down to an identifier, so we're using a CSS identifier to trigger an event, Google Tag Manager, when the event gets fired in Tracardi, we're calling this automation. It's doing, I'm not going to open that up because it's got all my credentials in there, but it is doing a call to Elasticsearch, and it is asking for what is the call to action on that index for that page. And like I said, I'll have to do a proper blog post about this with all the bits and pieces, and obviously not have usernames and passwords and all that. Actually, I don't think that's shared there. Anyway, but that's beside the point. If it exists, then do the tag. So I'm just calling a JavaScript tag configuration, passing to it the payload, which is what's coming back from the index. It's a call to action. So, and here's the bit. This took a little bit of working out with Risto, but here's the actual call that's made to the suggestion. So if we go back to this tab, share this tab instead, we can see that the function is called suggestion, which is a function that exists on the website. It's receiving these fields. If we go back to Tracardi, where that's been called, share this tab instead, we can see suggestion. So it's calling that there, and it's getting in that previous step, which is the remote API call. It's fetching that from Elasticsearch, and it's being used here to populate that. Just turn a tick.
And I also think that actually this function also could be in
Pardon me, and sorry
JavaScript.
about that. Should I put it on mute? Sneezing away here, but it's passing that in there. And like I said, we'll pull this apart properly and show the whole flow, including how to populate Elasticsearch and how that works as well. That's actually not part of Tracardi, but it's just a series of API calls to iterate through the website. I'll just stop sharing the screen now. Stop sharing. But part of what I want to get sorted out for this, and this is actually the use case that providing for somebody else. But as a person visits, Tracardi can collect what they're interested in. So the first visit I make, I'm interested in these things, and those interests can be sort of collected together and made into segments, or essentially segments. So we can say, okay, then you've visited this page, there's lots of interests on this page, but they can be packaged up into a segment. And then as a person's visiting, there can be a couple of segments that can become visible that they're really interested in. So on our blog, you could be visiting, you can be more interested in technical stuff or compliance or journeys. And based on the different sort of posts, that'll become obvious. And the use case where this pop-up's really going, it's not so much of the call to action on the comments, it's just an example, but it's on your second visit and third visit, when you come back to the website, welcome back. Would you like to pick up where you left off? We know that you're interested in this. Here's some more stuff about that, and here's some other stuff that you might be interested in as well. So I suppose it's personalized recommendations. Just a little thing, but it's just there to help engagement. So much of segmentation is about interest and intent, and it's just trying to align those things. And the call to action on those, if you're just in an awareness phase or just looking, it's going to be totally different. Whereas if you might have made a comment, so if you're somebody that regularly makes a comment on a blog or on a website, then you're a lot more engaged, or you made a donation or something like that, or you bought something. So the messaging becomes different. But if you're still in that early stage, then it's different messaging. So it's that's that matrix, getting that right. So that's what's driving the use case for this. But it's been sort of demoed and played out on the blog like that. So we'll write all that up.
Yeah.
Exciting. I'm
let me give you a one tip, actually,
Yep.
because you could also use, right now you're using AI, but to save some money, you could also use the keywords that are placed on every page. Actually, most of the blogging platforms can add keywords to the page, and that keywords could be used for the JavaScript to read the keywords and then passed again or to AI, or just use it directly as a indicators of interests.
Yeah, no, I'm totally across that one. And but it becomes a little bit custom. You've got to go into the template and you've got to iterate through the list of tags that are associated with the page. You've got to find that information on the page. So the way this is working is it batches it. So it's only done once, so it's a batch process, and an index, so it crawls a website that's using the sitemap. Most websites have a sitemap tucked away in there because it's the way they work. Just iterates through that, finds out what it hasn't looked at, and then it says, okay, let's pick up the content from this page, and let's put that in a Gen AI, and return what are the keywords on this page. You end up with an awful lot of keywords that you sort of get the long tail of bad ones, but you get them. There's a theme that sort of shows through, and then you can just segment based on those keywords. But the segmentation is not done on a page-by-page basis. It's done on an interest basis. So it's about the person visiting. So it's fine-grained a little bit. So, but I do get what you're saying. I do know with I like Ghost CMS, the blogging platform, and yeah, you could do all that sort of stuff, but you've got to custom theme it, and you've got to be able to do that. And I don't know, you work with some clients, everything's not easy. So what I like about Google Tag Manager is once you've got control of Google Tag Manager, it's easy to make changes to the theme because you're in. But making changes, you've got your product manager, you've got your technical guys, and sometimes can be so hard. So I think making stuff easy is definitely.
You're right.
Yeah. So
and my next question is: do you put the interest that you get from the ChatGPT to the interests? Save it in the profile interests?
Yes. So the ChatGPT puts it into an index. So each URL has an index. Index contains some URL, obviously, the content from the page, because we've picked it up, the call to action, and the list or an array of interests. So there's that index there. So that function that we saw in Tracardi, and I'll share that screen again. Tracardi. So that function there makes a call to that, and it comes back with a JavaScript tag. I'll just have another look at this one here, this flow, which is more a work in progress. No, it's actually not a work in progress. It's just got a lot of debugging on the screen. Can you see that? Can you see web interest tab on the screen at the moment? Yeah. So page view starts this one. It makes a similar sort of API call. This time it returns back list of interests. We've got to do something with that array and turn it into a string that can be handled by the increased interest plugin. It takes the payload, which is a result of that payload result, and then it increments each of those interests by one. we delete the data, then we delete the segment data that we've collected from before on the profile, then we group and rank the interests. I've got a mapping for that, so that's all the interests mapped back to different segments. We collect the top 3, we update the profile, then we're out of there. So I'll show that for me. I'll just go into my profile here. We don't get an awful lot of traffic on the blog. So I'll just visit the blog and make sure it pulls up a profile for me. I think I'm only looking at a short period of time there. So if I go to Beyond Marketing, I'll go to Events. Let's go on Filter. There we go. So that's me. Yeah, Beyond Marketing. Go to the page view, debug. I'll go to the interests. Okay, so we can see it there through the flow. So we can sort of see it passing through that flow. And here's, okay, so here's the increased interest. So it's increasing each of these interests. So there's a collection of interests that were added to that invalid interest name. Interesting. I'll have a look at that a bit closer. It's not good on live demos. You can love them.
Yeah.
This was working. It's not quite working at the moment.
But I understand that finally you get.
But let's go back to our
yeah,
profile. I'll have a look at our profile, and I can see that these are the interests that it's collected about me. I've been testing this on my profile, and I keep deleting my profile so I can see the interests. So a lot of these are just one. And if I go to another page, I'll do that. Hey, I'm not logged in, so let me log in. Just bear with me. It knows who I am when I'm logged in. Cameron. Too bogged down in this, but just so we can see it working, I'm back in there. I'll go to a different page. I'll just go out of the interests tab. Actually, I'll just go right out. I'll go back to events, make sure it's refreshed with the latest event. Getting that error, I'm not sure. Okay, so profile. I'll just go to the profile there. Does it know who that is? It's Matt Cameron, that's me. And my interests. That's better. That's my look. I thought it should look like. So I've been visiting different pages, and each page has about 20 interests associated with it. So there's a lot of them. But this is just Gen AI that's generated these suggested interests. If I go to the segmented tags, and that group and segment brings that down to a manageable number. So I can then understand what my interests are. So I'm interested in data and integrations, open source and digital transformation, and marketing operations and pipelines. Now, really haven't given too much thought to that grouping or tagging. It's just pretty much, what do you suggest, ChatGPT, and it's come up with those suggestions. Probably needs a little bit more thought. But based on those, when I visit the website next, it can make a suggestion to me. You're interested in pipelines? Here's some more stuff about pipelines. And it's just to encourage you to keep engaging. So that's all it's about. So I'll stop sharing.
It's very, very nice. It's very nice. Yep. Actually, I was also thinking about a similar product, but actually with the more signals and some decays, as we discussed in one of our office hours. And this is very interesting because, as you can see, you can collect a lot of interest even before somebody, converts, so buy something on your page. And then using that for activation is just like a huge advantage.
I think that's the power of a CDP. Once somebody's bought something, you know who they are, and you can start marketing them and having that conversation and doing your segmentation. But when they're anonymous, you try to work out how to make that conversation personal, but it's so hard. And getting the consents. um, aggregating, or what do we call it, consolidating down to a single profile for a number of anonymous profiles. All that sort of stuff helps you understand. It just helps you make sense.
Mhm.
Um,
And when you look at the numbers, actually, because this is, you collect data, okay? But when you talk with the business person, when you look at numbers, this is huge. Look, when you have an e-commerce site, probably about 5% of your visitors will buy something and 95% will not. And you have all the information about the 95%. If you activate this group of people through Google Ads or maybe some ads on Facebook, and you get only 10% of that people go back and buy something, then the number from the people who got back is bigger than the initial number of 5% that you got like initially. So basically, collecting this data, then activating those customers will bring you more money than the initial, you know, like the first traffic you've got.
I'll just share it. Yeah, those anonymous stats are pretty pretty big. I'll just share a. How do I share this tab? It's actually I've got it in it, not in Chrome, so I'll just share my screen for it. But it sort of gives you a sense of how these numbers sort of blow up for people that you don't know. And I'm sure we're sort of screen, share that screen there. This is just a really modest website. Um, they've only got one visiting at the moment, yeah, right now, but generally there's 3, 4, 5, or 6. The number of events is 100,000. It's got 25,000 profiles, 26,000 profiles across 24,000 sessions. Now their email list has only got 200 or 300 people on it, and they've got a real core of group of people that comment and engage with their site. A lot of people come to this as anonymous visitors, and I just think it's so interesting. They've got probably 3,000 or 4,000 pieces of content. Really great Google, what do you call it? Organic search.
Yep.
But the numbers here, like that's a million. So it's 100,000 events that have flowed in. How long has we been running this for? I'll get a data. Not that long, I don't think. Okay, so it's
About,
about
yeah,
about 6 months. Oh no,
six
not even
months.
that. Not even that.
4 months, I would say.
4 months. So that's not that long, really. But that profile number, um, most of those
Yeah,
profiles are anonymous. Like there's 2 or
yeah, that
3,
just
400.
gives you a sense how many people how many people visit you could not somehow interact with them. If you could
Yeah.
just have like 1% of them through some activation, bring them back, that would give you a huge new traffic, huge new registered users, for example. So
And,
if you combine CDP with some activation actions, like on Google or somewhere else, where you just bring back those people, it could make a huge change. Okay.
these guys, I'll stop sharing and get rid of the infinite mirror. Stop sharing. Stop presenting. These guys do art stuff. And a couple of schools have hooked onto their art, so they've got some content that every day. There's heaps and heaps. Yeah, the URLs are just out there. So some of their content's so popular, and the plan for them is to just for their popular content is to encourage some engagement because there's a
Hmm.
benefit that people are getting from it. Let's turn that into some social proof, even if we get 1% of those people visiting actually subscribing or making a comment or just doing something. That'd be just help a big help spread the
Yes.
word about what they're on about. Um, but but two, and that comes back to making things easy. They the core group they know how they do stuff. They don't like change, and it's always a big conversation around these things. And you sort of see where they can be, and you can say, okay, how do we get to there? And you're here, technology is not something that, if you don't understand how it works and like we're immersed in it, we see it every day, but there's a conversation too. So making it easy to understand is just a challenge. It's an interesting story that we have to work through, everyone. That's the power of the blog as well. That's what we're trying to do with the blog. Yep. That
Yes.
was my 2 cents anyway. Rambled on a little bit.
Very interesting.
Yep. So yeah.
Okay.
Cool. All right. So I think we're 2 weeks away from the next one, and we missed last month. I think you were traveling. I had family commitments.
Yes. Yes. I'm
Next one in
still
2 weeks.
traveling. You can see, the environment is different.
It's different. So I think 2 weeks away for the next one. I know not a
Mhm.
lot of people join us, but I do get comments back saying thank you. I do watch, and I hope everyone's getting something from this. We do post these back onto the blog, so please put a comment there so that questions, or even if you're just enjoying it, it's always nice to get a little bit of a thank you there. So please do that if you can. And please share Tracardi with be awesome and share Tracardi with your friends. I was thinking today, let's make a post somewhere and just say, like if you think Tracardi. Otherwise, it's sort of like that made with, uh, like if you're built on Tracardi. I have to give it some more thought. We'll put that post out there soon and promote it for people to give a like anyway. Like if you're, that's it. Like if you're powered by Tracardi. But
Yep.
I set up on LinkedIn or something for a bit of fun. I think that's about it.
About it.
Is there
Thank you,
anything we've
Matt.
got? No, before you go, is there anything in the pipeline that we need to chat about? Or
Uh, well, currently I'm traveling, so I'm not doing a lot of Tracardi instead of support.
yep,
So I don't think I don't have anything in my mind for the next office hours.
yeah,
But I'm currently working on actually two things. One is the introduction of SQL to Tracardi, and also this Tracardi signals, very similar to the things that you do, that would get more signals from Tracardi. So the script that you put on the page will collect like not one or two events, but hundreds of events
yep,
with different information. So this is the main things I'm working on, and probably in a few months we'll see new features in Tracardi.
cool. All right. Thanks, Risto. Look forward to catching up soon.
Okay, thank
The
you.
next office hours. Bye.
See you. Bye.